Gate. Thus, the JSDF fought there, or what is commonly abbreviated as Gate, tells of the emergence of a portal that connects a city in Tokyo to another world, with the appearance of many medieval soldiers and monsters attacking the city. Starting from Itami Youji, a 33-year-old off-duty Japan Self-Defense Forces or JSDF for short, and also an otaku who seems to have no ambitions other than collecting more doujinshi, intended to attend anime events and conventions in Ginza, Tokyo. If he has to choose between his job as JSDF or his hobby as an otaku, Itami won't hesitate to mention that he works only to support his hobby. On the way to the event, Itami spent his time intensely focused on playing the game, until he bumped into a pillar that rendered him unable to distinguish the lines between reality and imagination. At that time, Itami seemed to see an elf in the middle of the forest, a blue-haired witch, and a gothic loli jumping from a height holding a scythe. However, Itami's consciousness returned to the real world, and he immediately continued on his way to where the event was. Unfortunately, in the middle of the trip, he realized something strange, where there was a commotion outside and many people were running, due to the appearance of a gate which is believed to be a portal that connects Earth to another world, releasing many mythological creatures led by men in Roman armor attacking the surrounding population. The funny thing here was, despite the chaos happening outside and the massive attack from otherworldly beings, the first thing Itami was afraid of was the cancellation of the event he was going to attend that day. Itami ran fast in hopes that he made it in time for the event. Seeing the chaos that occurred, Itami also saw a woman who was almost killed at that time, which finally moved Itami to save her and told her to run away. It didn't stop there. When a policeman had doubts about killing an enemy from another world, Itami came to his aid before the policeman was killed by snatching the enemy's knife and stabbing him right in front of the police and several people behind him. After that incident, Itami encouraged all the residents to evacuate to the Imperial Palace and ordered the police to put up barricades while waiting for help to arrive. Thanks to the quick thinking and proper anticipation suggested by Itami, they managed to minimize the loss of life in this incident, until the JSDF finally arrived at the scene to fight the troops from the Empire. As a result, the JSDF easily massacred troops from the Empire, because the Japanese firearms at that time were overpowered when compared to ordinary Imperial weapons. The incident has indeed caused many casualties and material losses in large numbers. However, it was thanks to Itami that the losses experienced were successfully minimized. A few days after the incident, Itami received an award from the Minister of Defense for his services in protecting the population. Who would have thought, an otaku who intended to come to an anime event would instead become a hero, to the point that he received the title of the National Hero of Ginza. The appearance of the gate and the attack on civilians was then dubbed the Ginza incident. Apart from that, Itami's big role in saving the residents there also made him appointed as first lieutenant. Meanwhile, the Ginza incident prompted the Prime Minister to take action by declaring that Japan would send a JSDF task force supported by the United States to a special region, the world beyond the gate. Not only exploring new worlds, but they will also catch and demand compensation from those responsible for the Ginza incident. In preparation for exploring the world inside the gate, Itami along with the other troops underwent rigorous training every day. Due to Itami's great role, many people came to know him both in the JSDF and in everyday life. Instead of feeling happy about the fame he had earned, Itami felt sad. The first is because the event failed to be held until an unspecified time. And second is because he just gets sick of seeing his own face in the newspaper or television for a few days. After 3 months of long and tiring training, the gate which had been closed to prevent another attack was finally opened. The new Prime Minister dispatched a JSDF task force, including Itami, to the gate. They must travel into this unknown world in order to learn more about what they are dealing with, and if possible, befriend locals in the hope of creating peaceful ties with the ruling empire. This was a tough challenge for Itami and the other JSDF members. Because if they fail, then they will face the consequences of participating in a devastating war that will engulf both sides of the gate. When the JSDF arrived at the area within the gate which is called the Special Region, the task force was confronted by the Imperial troops who were waiting for them, and prepared for battle. Just like the previous battle, the troops sent by the Empire to confront the Japanese troops were stationed on the Alnus Hill where the gate was located and was easily defeated by the JSDF's modern artillery. The battle cost the Empire more than 60% of its military power, forcing Emperor Molt to form an alliance with another empire to face the JSDF on the hills of Alnus. However, Emperor Molt already knew that they wouldn't be able to fight the JSDF no matter what. Therefore, The emperor actually intended to reduce the combat power of other kingdoms under his empire by letting them fight against the JSDF, which will result in heavy casualties as well. Only so that other kingdoms wouldn't attack or take over the weakened empire. While the Royal Alliance troops numbered approximately 300,000, the JSDF at that time only had 10,000 personnel. Just as the battle was about to begin, the imperial troops were nowhere to be seen on the battlefield. As predicted by the empire, in a short time, 100,000 alliance troops were immediately annihilated by the artillery barrage from the JSDF. Those who survived decided to retreat after seeing the horror of JSDF's modern weapons, even causing one of the kings named Duran to suffer a mental breakdown. In this way, Emperor Molt's plan succeeded, and he then sent Princess Pina Colada to the city of Aunis to monitor the movements of the JSDF. On the other side, the JSDF sent Itami to lead the 3rd Recon Unit, to survey nearby towns and places, as well as learn the language while trying to establish good relations with the residents there. After passing through the village of Koda, the 3rd Unit found a large fire dragon that was burning and destroying the settlements in the forest. While trying to find survivors, Itami found an unconscious elf woman in a well named Tuka Luna, and then gave her first aid before finally sending her to Koda village. After learning of the existence of the fire dragon, the villagers decided to flee elsewhere with the help of the JSDF, including a witch named Lele Lalaelena and her teacher named Kato El Altestan. Hoping to take advantage of the situation, a group of bandits decided to attack the villagers but ended up being slaughtered by Rory Mercury, an apostle of the dark god Amroy. The next day, Itami met Rory, who confronted him because of her curiosity about cars, making her decide to go with them. However, a fire dragon suddenly appears and attacks the convoy, killing a number of residents until the 3rd Unit manages to destroy its front legs with an anti-tank rocket, forcing the dragon to retreat. After this incident, some residents decided to go to another city, while some, such as Rory, Tuka, and Lele, went with Itami to the JSDF headquarters in Alnis Hill. After the 3rd Recon Unit returned to Alnis Hill, the residents and others were allowed to stay there to help learn their language and establish good relations. As a result, Lele, Rory, and Tuka lived there together at the JSDF headquarters. On the other hand, Princess Pina Colada of the Empire met King Duran, who had been seriously injured in his battle against the JSDF. There, King Duran told the truth about what had happened on the battlefield before, and Duran thought that the Empire was their real enemy. Princess Pina was surprised to hear this because she did not know the cunning plan that had been carried out by her father. On that basis, King Duran advised Princess Pina to come to Alnis Hill to check for herself, which she did personally from the city of Italica. Meanwhile, Itami and the others headed to the city of Italica to study the trading system in that world. On the way to Italica, it seems that the Alliance troops have turned into a band of bandits attacking the city of Italica because they feel the betrayal of the Empire. At that time, Princess Pina, who was in the city of Italica, managed to beat them back, but it was still not over because there would be another attack. After some time, Itami and the others arrived at Italica but were intercepted by the army before Rory showed herself, which made Princess Pina regard Itami and the others as allies. Since the city was under attack from bandits, Princess Pina gave information about the current situation, making Itami decide to help protect the city and defeat the bandits. The 3rd Recon Unit under Itami's command was stationed on the least guarded side of the wall, the south gate, to act as a decoy. Itami realized that his troops had been used by Princess Pina, but he still accepted it so that one day Pina could realize that they could have a good relationship instead of fighting each other. Then the battle began. Surprisingly, the bandits didn't fall into their trap and attacked from the east gate instead, breaking into the city's defenses. Princess Pina finds herself on the verge of despair, and wants to ask Itami for help, but realizes that she has no right to ask Itami, given that she plans to make Itami a victim at South Gate in order to defeat the bandits. Together with Rory and her 2 subordinates, Itami went to where Pina was to help her. Rory displays her ferocious fighting skills, while Itami summons reinforcements to the base, so the helicopters are dispatched to the east gate according to Itami's directions. With their huge number, the bandits still didn't have the ability to fight the JSDF's military weapons, so in a short time, all the bandits were successfully slaughtered by the JSDF. Princess Pina was speechless at the JSDF's combat power, making her realize that the JSDF's strength could not be underestimated, and she didn't want to make them their enemy. Since that incident, Pina decided to make a temporary peace agreement with Itami so that there would be no war, and they then decided to return to the JSDF headquarters. On the way, Itami met Pina's Order of the Rose Knights, which took Itami captive after realizing that Itami was a member of the JSDF, unaware of the peace agreement that Itami and Pinna had just made. To prevent more conflict from occurring, Itami orders his unit to leave rather than fight, while he is held back by the Rose Knights led by Bozes. Itami was brought back to Italica and battered by Bozes. This actually angered Pinna, because she knew that Itami had a high rank in the JSDF. By injuring Itami, would be tantamount to inviting an army of tanks, helicopters, and fighter jets all at once to destroy Italica, and the future of the empire would be razed to the ground. That's why Pinna asked Bozes to apologize to Itami, even if it meant using his body. On the other hand, the 3rd Recon unit certainly wouldn't sit idly by and intended to save Itami. It started with Tuka using sleep magic on all the guards in Italica, so they could sneak into the city of Italica. However, things have turned around. Itami, who had been treated very badly, instead got his harem by being pampered by the maids there. This greatly surprised the 3rd Recon unit, who had managed to sneak in, only to find Itami having fun there, far from what they had imagined. Then Bozes, who was preparing to go to war with Itami on the bed using his body, was surprised to see Itami and his troops having fun. After that incident, Pinna decided to go with Itami to the JSDF headquarters, so she could personally apologize to her superior Itami. After that, Itami is asked to return to Japan with Lele, Rory, and Tuka as a representative from another world. Not only that, Pinna and Bozes also went with them through the gate to Japan. Arriving there, Rory and the other women were amazed by the city and its people. After meeting with the public security agent, Komikado, Itami, along with Lele, Rory, and Tuka went to the Japanese Diet, while Pinna and Bozes met with members of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to discuss the details for the upcoming peace talks. The parliamentary event began when Itami and the others were questioned by the chairwoman of the investigation committee, and the event was watched by many people including several state leaders. Even though there was a heated debate, everything went peacefully because Lele, Rory, and Tuka helped defend Itami and the JSDF. After that, they went to Itami's ex-wife, Riza, because Komikado had leaked their travel plans which might endanger the special region girls. For the time being, they would sleep and live at Itami's ex-wife's place. Even though they come from different worlds and have unique powers, special region girls are normal girls who can be amazed by the beauty of the city and like to shop. Itami meets with his old friend, Defense Minister Kano Taro, who orders him to take guests from the special region to a hot spring inn, which is actually the defense minister's plan to protect them. It was known that there were troops from the United States trying to kidnap Itami and the others, in order to retrieve information about the world beyond the gate. Unfortunately, the Japanese Prime Minister was threatened by the leadership of the United States because he was found to be corrupt, forcing him to withdraw the troops that guarded Itami and the others. The Prime Minister also had no other choice and ordered the Defense Minister to withdraw his special forces. Apparently, not only the United States troops had such a plan, but they actually met troops from China and Russia who both wanted to kidnap Itami and the others. As a result, troops from the United States, China, and Russia actually exchanged fire there, so many soldiers died. Rory came out of the inn and slaughtered all the troops with great ease. The next day, they decided to return to Ginza but were afraid of getting attacked like the night before. Therefore, Riza posts a message on the internet that the special region girls will be visiting the Ginza Memorial. As a result, many people flock to Ginza just to see and meet the girls, which at the same time hinders the plans of foreign agents to kidnap them. Itami and the others reached Ginza safely and received a standing ovation from their fans. Because the show received attention from live TV, the leaders of the United States, Russia, and China cancelled the kidnapping operation. Thus, they all returned to the world beyond the gate and decided to stay at the JSDF headquarters. For Pinna herself, she realized that the Empire's war with Japan would only lead to their destruction, so Pinna began making plans to return to the capital to arrange peace talks between the two sides. 5 months had passed since the gate opened, and the JSDF headquarters on Alness Hill had grown into a small town and trading center for goods from Earth, making it easier for them to trade with each other and establish a good relationship with each other. On the other hand, Pinna together with Koji Sugawara, the Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, tried to negotiate with several people from the Empire, one of whom was Lord Cicero, one of the important nobles in the Empire's pro-war faction. Pinna and Koji managed to get their way through peace talks in exchange for the release of his nephew, who is currently in Japanese custody as a prisoner of war. Next was the arrival of a dark elf named Yao Ha-Dushi, who wanted to ask the JSDF for help to save her clan from the fire dragon's attack. However, when Yao met with the general, Her request was rejected because their forest was outside the empire, which meant that the JSDF did not have permission to enter the area. Since Japan was currently in peace talks with the empire, sending troops across the border was tantamount to declaring war and rekindling the conflict. With Yao devastated after hearing this, someone suggested Yao to meet Itami, because maybe Itami could help her in solving the problem. Unfortunately, the next day when Yao was preparing to visit the JSDF headquarters on Alness Hill, Itami turned out to be on an assignment to the imperial capital. Arriving there, Itami's presence was greeted by Pinna. Itami and his men send goods from Earth to Pinna as part of their plan to win over more nobles to seek peace with Japan. Before Itami returned to the JSDF headquarters, Itami gave Pinna a yaoi doujin that she really liked, which unwittingly contained newspaper clippings about her previous heroic actions. As Itami returns to the base hoping to reach peace between the two sides, Lele recounts that the war is far from over, and that's where the Gate Season 1 anime ends.